Well, if there's a no vote, I think I'll spend a week greeting. I think there will be an initial, not just disappointment and dismay, but a kind of bitterness and resentment that you have to get out your system first. When you look back at the things that have been said, and if they help to sway people, then it's profoundly disappointing the way that will have worked out. But the way ahead, I think we are deluding ourselves if we think that there's going to be a kind of an acceptance in London that this is the Scots asking for more powers. I think the first reaction will be to say, well, you've rejected powers. You've rejected the ultimate power. You've said no to that, and I think that will be what is noted, first of all, right across certainly the right wing in England. That's, you know, UKIP and the Conservative, the right wing of the Conservative Party. I think a lot of people on the ground in England who will be telling their MPs the same thing. Why are we still talking about giving powers to Scotland? They had their opportunity. They blew their opportunity. Why are we giving them any more? There is still a kind of resentment. I think there will be an argument, a powerful argument, which says that if you are going to do anything more for the Scots after we've spent all this time talking about their referendum and then they vote no to stay with us, we need to resolve this issue of funding to England's satisfaction, because a lot of people down there are not actually aware of the reality of the funding, don't know about Scotland's bigger contribution, don't care about that, simply look at the identifiable spending and say that there's too much English taxpayers' money coming to Scotland. So that will have to stop. And I mean, you know, whether it's binning Barnett or however they decide to do that, I think there will have to be a quid pro quo. I mean, I would find that inescapable. The other thing that would concern me is that, as I say, I sometimes say if I sat in Cameron's seat, what would I do? And I would want to say, I can't allow this to happen again. Yes, we have a Scottish Parliament, but we can't allow them just to have a referendum whenever it suits the nationalists. In other words, you find a device, a parliamentary device, to withdraw from Scotland the right to hold a referendum. I mean, yes, you can consult, you know, you can ask people, but it will have no authority, no power whatsoever, and we won't recognise it. I mean, I'm not quite sure how they could do it. There'll be lots of ways they can do that, and I'm not suggesting which route they would take, but I think that there will be a very powerful argument to say we have to stop this from happening again. You can't constantly disrupt the rest of the UK in this way. In Scotland, I think there will need to be some type of coming together, because the truth is the Scots will have voted no, and I will feel a bit of resentment and I will be deeply, deeply disappointed, but I am also a Democrat. And frankly, if after, what 3 years, fully 3 years of campaigning, the Scots have arrived at a decision, you've got to respect it, because nobody has an excuse for not knowing how to vote and not being able to make up their mind. So the Scots will have spoken, and it will be, I think, definitive. As a Democrat, I think that'll be an unavoidable conclusion. So the question then is, you know, I think, does Scotland get together to try to decide what its approach is going to be? And I think probably the answer to that is yes. That will have the inadvertent consequence of letting Labour off the hook, because having been the main champion of the No campaign, the onus surely is on them to deliver something for Scotland. And the more that the Scots come together, you know, under one roof to discuss this, the more the focus is removed from Labour doing something and the Scots doing something. However, you know, to hell with the Labour Party, the real issue here, the big issue is Scotland. And therefore I think there will be a need for convention, whatever you want to call it, to decide just what the approach is going to be. And the nationalists will need to decide how they respond to the idea of referendums in the future. Because I think you can't just say to the public, OK, you voted no this time, but here's another referendum. I mean, I think you have to be sensible about it. I think they will be. Well, if there's a yes vote, it's hard to imagine. I mean, the excitement, you know, the opportunity. I mean, it's almost scary to think about the explosion of excitement in Scotland and the changes that will immediately happen. Not just disaggregation talks, but the rest of the world comes to Scotland. I mean, once you're an independent state, the rest of the world comes to you to set up offices, Companies need to be here. You know, you have embassies instead of just the occasional consul general. You become the focus of world attention. You start to lay out your plans for change, for saving money, which we can do massively by getting rid of the Westminster monkey off our back, has been bleeding us for years. We have access to, you know, our own oil exploration, for example, where we know there is oil, we know there is more. And instead of being, you know, stuck with Westminster plans for, you know, the lack of transmission grids that we have for green energy, we can invest our own. We can invite in partners to do that, devise our own spending priorities, immigration priorities, competition, public procurement, interest rates. You know, you can begin to mould policies that meet the needs of your country. You know, obviously in terms of politics, then the hand has to be extended to everyone else to be part of that. For example, for the talks, I think we have to have the feeling that not just the Scottish government, but that the Scottish people are represented. I mean, you have, in my vision of this is you have a frontline team of, if you like, professional negotiators, you know, presumably led by somebody like Salmond and Swinney. But behind them, as part of a wider representative group, you can point to almost every sectoral interest of Scotland will have someone there, and that includes the parties. Labour Party has to be absolutely essential. I mean, there'll be many people on the yes side saying we don't want them anywhere near this, but you know the truth is they have to be. They are a key part of the fabric of Scotland, the Labour Party, as are the Tories, and the other political parties have to be represented as well, so that you get a full swell, as it were, of civic Scotland there, and nobody should feel excluded from that process.